All right, so just like your usual software, your usual Microsoft Word that you use, you know how it is. You have the Word, you have the PowerPoint, you have Excel. Excel used for calculation, the Word used for wordings. So see HTML like Microsoft Word, where you type. The major, yes, you can do some styling in Microsoft Word, but the major, the major function of the Word document is to type for lettering. See HTML like that thing, what you use in typing to the web. Now, instead of typing, your Word document you used to type and you save, maybe to make a file, a document, but the web only reads text that are written in HTML for now. Until you write them in HTML, that is when the web understands. So HTML is used for lettering, for writing, for wordings, to write the text that you see on your web. Then CSS, called cascaded style sheet. The last class I said that it's like makeup, the makeup artist. It adds beauty, it adds flair, it makes your website look very attractive. So it doesn't look dull like one document that you just on one black and white document. It adds color and beauty to your website. That is what it does. Then with JavaScript now coming to add interactivity to your website. When I say interactivity, this is what I'm, because if I'm very fast, you can just unmute and say, please, can you repeat this, sir? You can just say, can you repeat this, please? Sorry. If I'm rushing too fast, please always call back my attention. We are here to learn. So the aim of this thing is to make sure we know this thing, is not to rush and finish this class. Am I understood? Okay, I'll take that.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So I will now move to JavaScript. I will say JavaScript. This is what JavaScript does. You know, when you open your Gmail and you open your Gmail, you see an interface that says enter your email address and your password. When you enter your email address and your password, another page opens that displays your name. Could say hello, Michael, hello, Austin, something like that. That's interactive nature. It's enabled with JavaScript. It makes your website behave like a human being that can interact with you, that you can ask questions and get feedbacks. That is what JavaScript does. Then the next one, I said JavaScript frameworks. JavaScript framework, this JavaScript is a very powerful tool. So inside JavaScript, they now created something called frameworks. Frameworks is like a template. Let me call it a template. They use JavaScript. They created a template so that if you want to rebuild, the same page, instead of starting from the scratch, you just use this framework to like, you install this framework and they give you the basic structure. Then you now start changing it the way you want. It's like the last class I said, like somebody building a house, and if you want to build a story building in Kaduna, I want to build a story building in Lagos, is the structural elements to an extent, 80% to be the same, in the sense that there'll be a deck, there'll be pillars, there'll be roof. It's not because you're building in Lagos, then you not put a deck, no. But when it comes to partitioning, it might now be different because you need to partition the rooms and design it the way you want. So those are what frameworks do. We have so many frameworks. We have in JavaScript, we have 3 major frameworks. We have React, we have Vue, and we have Angular. But for this our lesson, we'll be taking on React as the major framework. So this is just a rundown of what we'll be doing in the course of learning. So now, in the few weeks, we'll be taking HTML. Want to demystify HTML, understand HTML, because it's the foundation of everything. And that is why we started last week. And last week, we talked of HTML and we knew how to create some components. So this is the basic structure of the HTML document. The HTML document, it's laid out like this, in the sense that, okay, this thing you see here, this HTML you see here, if you check the way this box goes, this box covers like this. It's like HTML is like the whole ball, the whole box, and everything now living inside of it. Now, when the web sees this document, the web already knows that this is a document, this is a web document that needs to be displayed for people to see. Why? Because of this HTML you wrote here, this thing written here. So this whole box is housing everything that will be inside. Then I said the HTML, this thing is a HTML document. This is a structure of the HTML document. This is how it is. I said the HTML document is divided into two parts. I said the head and the body. We did this last week. I'm just trying to do a recap. The head and the body. And I said everything you want to be displayed on your website is written on the body parts. Then anything you want, anything that is written on the head section is not displayed. These are used by browsers. They are used by the applications. Like they contain your metadata, your type, as you can see, title written here. For those who understand what is called search engine optimization, these are used for those purposes, for Google Analytics and the rest of them. Now, somebody might say, okay, I remember there was a class I was taking, and when we wanted to write HTML, somebody wrote one of these HTML tags. Okay, sorry, before I go to that, this is the major HTML. Now, these things you see written inside here, this guy, this one here, and this one, they are called tags. T-A-G-S, tags. They are called tags, spelled like this. T-A-G. If it's two of them, we call them tags. Now we have an opening tag and a closing tag. The difference between an opening tag and a closing tag is first. This is a typical HTML tag. This is a tag, but this one is a P tag. This is the opening tag. This is the closing tag. The difference is that the closing tag has a / and the opening tag does not have a /. Anything you want to be displayed on the web is supposed to be written inside of this tag. Meanwhile, the tag is not displayed. What is displayed is this thing. So if I write this code, what will be displayed on my website will be just, this is the main header and this thing I wrote down here. My name is Prince, I'm a software developer. These ones in red will not be displayed. They are just containers used to house what needs to be displayed by the web. So a closing tag and an opening tag forms an element. So this guy, this HTML written here, and this guy here, and this closing one here forms an element. And the name of the element is HTML element. So anything that you need to be displayed on the web must be written inside the opening tag and the closing tag of the HTML element. This is how the browser understands that this is a web document. The HTML element is now further divided into the head element and the body elements. Are we following, please? Okay, we are following?
Yes.
All right. So the HTML element is further divided into the head and the body. And the head also has the opening tag and the closing tag. The body also has the opening tag and the closing tag. Then last week, we treated some common HTML elements, and we started with the head. We started with the H element, the heading element. You can call it the heading. Okay, you can call it the heading element for now. Now, the job of this heading element, as we discussed last week, is, when you see your typical even web document, your web document normally has a heading, then a paragraph. Most times the heading is always bolder and bigger than the others. This is the job of this tag. But remember last week we said there are six types of it. We have the H1 tag, the H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. That was what we did last week. Then last week we also discussed the P elements. So if I say write a P element, you already know what I mean. It means you have to write something that has an opening tag and a closing tag. So having seen this, having understood this, that this is the structure, anything you want to write in HTML must have an opening tag and a closing tag. And whatever you need to be displayed will be inside this opening and closing tag. I want to continue what we have today. So for today, this is what we'll be covering. We'll be looking at attributes, form elements. So when I mean form elements, you should already understand what I mean. That this guy here, this form must have an opening tag and a closing tag. Then other things in between these two opening and closing tags. So we'll be discussing these things today as we proceed. Okay, so let me open up. I think we're done with our recap. Let me just where we left off last week. So we can start there. So how many of us were able to download the Visual Studio Code?
I did download the Visual Studio.
So I wasn't able to download it.
Okay.
I was trying to.
You had a challenge downloading it. I can hear you.
Okay, I downloaded it, but I tried running it. Whenever I click go live, it keeps telling me open a folder or workspace. Open a folder or workspace. So that was where I backed up.
Okay. Did you click here? Okay. Any other person? Let me just get feedbacks.
Yes.
Okay. Were you successful?
Mine. First of all, I want to ask the studio. Does it work with a mobile device or it's just a system?
Oh, basically it's a system, but there are other this Visual Studio Code. You know the name. We said it's called a code editor. You remember? It's called a code editor,
Yes.
which means there are other code editors. I mentioned Atom the last time. I mentioned Atom. I mentioned I think one other one. But this Visual Studio Code is the most common of them all. And for now, they don't have an app that runs with the mobile device. They don't. But I know
because
there are some other apps that simulate the behavior of VS Code, but they are not Visual Studio Code. Okay, go ahead with your question.
No, it's not really a question. I was just saying that when I downloaded it, it was opening in a file format, so I couldn't make use of it. So I just suspected that maybe it was just a system app. It won't work on a mobile device.
Yeah, it's basically a system app.
So I couldn't do anything.
Okay, I can hear you. Go ahead, David.
Hello, sir. I'm sorry I wasn't able to show up last week.
Okay.
So please, could you guys just bring us up to speed? I want to know the name of the file we're supposed to download, and if possible, could give us the link to the authentic one that all of us just go straight to click on and get it.
Okay, I think I shared the link the last time. Okay, let me just go again on how we got to this point. All right, so I said, now, having understood this part, having understood this thing, where do you write this code? Do you just open a Word document and start writing these things? And how do you make the web understand what you use? That's why we came in and we said there are apps called code editors. They are used to write codes. And when they write codes, they are saved in particular formats that the web understands. Before we migrated to Visual Studio Code, we started with a common one we have on our phone. You know this notepad on your device. We say you can use notepad to write the code, and the web will understand what you mean. So this is how we started, and we wrote our first code. You remember I said if you want to write a HTML, if you want to write a HTML document, you start with opening tag of HTML. And remember that diagram. Please don't forget that diagram. Let it just constantly be in your mind. Okay, so just give me a sec. Let me put it side by side. Okay, please, if in case this meeting stops, just join back with the link. Sorry for that. Okay, so just a sec. Now we could be seeing what I'm doing side by side. Yeah, I'm repeating this because of people who were not here the last time, so that at least they're all up to speed what we're doing. Okay. All right. You know, we said the structure of HTML documents. We said there must be an opening HTML and a closing HTML. Mr. David, can you see it?
Yes, yes, sir. Please go on.
Okay. So there must be an opening HTML and a closing HTML. This tells the web that this is a web document. So inside, I now said this HTML document is divided into two portions. Said we have the head section, then we have the body section. Then we have the body section. Now, say anything you want displayed on your web must be found in the body section. And the head section, okay, let's start with the head section. And I said the head section holds information that are needed by browsers, not mainly what you see. And one of the things that are needed by browsers is this title. And when I run this, you see where this title comes in. Is this title? I'm just starting from scratch, writing a HTML document for all of us. And let's give it a title. Let's call it front end work. Front end work. Okay. Then we are done with the head section. Then we'll now move to the body section.
I'm sorry, your first title has a double T. It matters, right?
Okay, yeah, it's an error. Just normal title. Yeah, thank you for that.
What if there's a grammatical error in your typing? Is it?
It will not run.
Okay.
We'll demonstrate it. You see it. If you don't type it where it will not run. So that's why one thing you need to remember constantly is the name of these elements. This HTML you see is already registered with the web, so they know that if I write something else there that is not HTML, it will be displayed. Now, even if one thing, okay, what I was trying to explain before, there was in a class, somebody came down here and wrote a P element here, and it displayed. And you might ask yourself, okay, if you can display there, then what's the point sticking to the rules, writing it here? But you know, we're developing for not ourselves, for browsers, optimum use by other browsers. So if you put something that is not inside the HTML documents, some browsers might not run it, number one. Number two, it's a bad structure. If it gets to a point where your app needs to be tested, it will fail all the tests because it doesn't follow the recommended structure. Hello? Are you trying to say something? So inside the body section, please somebody should help me. What can we put inside the body section?
So we could also have we could use lists inside them.
Okay.
And there are different lists. There's the ordered list and the unordered lists.
Okay, how do I write the unordered list?
The unordered list, you write it with UL,
Okay.
with the greater than and less than sign, the opening and the closing tag.
All right. Then how do I write my list items?
Then with the list item, you write LI, same process, greater than and less than sign, opening and closing tag.
Exactly. Instead of saying greater than and less than, we talk like developers now. We just said you can just say you write an LI element because once it has opening and closing tag is an element.
All right, sir.
All right. So inside each of them, I can now write. Yeah.
Whatever you want to write.
Okay. So that is mango. I repeat the same thing. Let me just Oh. David, hope you're following. I'm actually repeating this because of you and some other person.
Yes, I am. I am. Thank you.
All right. Contacts. Contact us. So we've written a basic HTML element. Now you might not understand what this UL and UL mean. We talked about two types of lists, but what I will do is I will allow you to go and read up that one. The main thing is that I just wanted to get the structure of how HTML is being written. These other things you're seeing inside the P is an element. This one is an element. There are so many HTML elements. So this UL is one of the HTML elements we have. And you still understand what it does. Each of them have their function. So we'll continue today with the other HTML elements. So as we continue, the most important, what I want you to get from this vision is how to build a typical HTML document. So I finished writing my code, then I come to file. I go to save as. Then down here, I give it a name, index. Note, you must give it this name, index. Index dots. I want to call it HTML. Index.html. HTML. When you want to save Microsoft Word document, you save it as Word, as doc. Excel, you save it as XXL or something like that. PDF.pdf, but this one is a web document, so you have to save it as index.html. So once I just click on save here, I saved it on my desktop. Now let's go to my desktop and look for it. This is it on my desktop. See what happens. Immediately I save it as index.html, it assumes the form of my default web browser. My default web browser is Chrome. If I was using Opera Mini, it would come in this shape of an Opera Mini. So this is our first HTML document that we just wrote. So let me open it. You see, that's whom we wrote. Let me erase that. Let me put it side by side. Okay. So look at, oh, not this. So look at what we wrote here. See this home. This is the home. See about us. This is about us. See contact us. This is the contact us. Are you seeing it? And it's displaying
Yes,
on
sir.
my. This is my Google Chrome displaying here. So if you want to add more functionality, let me say I want to add a header. Now we said something about header, a heading element. We said they give you header. So let me say, okay. Let me call that part we just did. Maybe it's my navigation. Let's say I'm using a website. That's my navigation. Then this header, H1, call it my first web page. My first web page. So if I save this document again, I save it. I have to go here and refresh it. You see what happened? So I added this line. So if you notice from what I said, the H1, these tags are not included here. What is displayed is just what is between the tags. That is one thing you should note. So this H1 element is used to display heading. And we said last week that there are 6 types of it, from H1 to H6. So I'll just do H6. This is to give you an understanding about the rest. This is H6 for this part. Okay, let me just leave it the same wording. Then you need to save here, go and save, you refresh. You see, this one is smaller. This is H1, this is H6. H1 is the integral part of web development. Because the most times what you do in web development is user interaction. When somebody logs into a page and you're trying to ask the person, what is your name, email address, please give me your information, give me your data. That cannot be done without the form. So that is where the form comes in. So the form is a very integral part of your HTML element of your web. So that is why we want to give it very challenge and now look in details how to create a form. That is what we want to do. And the only way you create a form is using the form elements. Now, if I say you create a form using the form elements, I believe my students will understand what I mean. And the word you use is form, just as the name implies. So if I want to create a form element, please, how would I write the code? Somebody can drop it on the chat. You create a form element with the word form. So how do I create a form element? What do I need to write code that I need to write to create a form element? I'm waiting. Hello? Is anybody helping us? Can we all hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. It's just that probably we have to just proceed because it seems like every one of us, the whole place is quiet. So please,
I need to get a response from you so that I know you understand what I'm saying so far.
So I'll just continue with the form element so that, some of us are just novice to all these computer
But by
programs.
now, you should know how to write an element, I believe.
Okay. Open bracket.
You can write it. I know Rejoice, Collins, and who else was there in the last class? They should know how to write a form element. Even Cornelius. So somebody can write it and drop. It makes you stick. That's just the truth. Okay.
I wasn't following for a while. I didn't see the form elements.
Okay, I said I need somebody to create a form element for me. Just drop it on the chat. You create a form element using the word form. So by now you should understand what an element means, how an element is created. So drop it for me on the chat. I want to create a form element. Just as you created OL element with the word OL.
I just dropped something, just check if I'm in the right.
Okay, you're almost there. Where I said you create a form element using the word form.
Okay, without the element attached.
Yes, using the word form.
Okay, so.
Exactly. But an element is not complete without the opening and the closing tag.
Yes.
The word form, F-O-R-M. I need somebody to get it right so we'll proceed.
We are working on it.
Okay, I'm waiting.
Yeah, it's my computer.
Okay, yeah, I see you just dropped something. Okay, that's fine. Rejoice, you can drop it so that everybody can see.
Oh, I thought I dropped it for everybody.
No, I think, okay, yeah, that's fine. That's exactly, Collins, just exactly. So let me copy it.
I forgot to press my shift in the air. That was why the other.
All right, that's fine. So this is how we create a form element. And for our rule, it has to be inside the body element. So that's why I'm dropping it here. I'm not dropping it after body. I'm dropping it here before the closing body tag. So this is where it should be. Just paste what's Collins job. So this is the element we've created. So this form element is what we use in creating forms where people can put their inputs. And there are so many. The form element has several types, several components of it. The form element has several components. It has other components like a big guy that is nesting other elements inside. In this form element, you have number one, we have input elements, which we are going to be looking into now. We have text area, we have the button elements. Now, I want us to start with the input element because it's an interesting one in the form elements. So the input element is part of the form element. It provides a space where the user still inputs their data. But this time around, where the user inputs their data. Let me open that Yahoo mail I opened before. take it like this. This box you're seeing from here, please follow my mouse from here, is the whole form element. Now inside of this form element, you have different parts. See this guy where I can put my email. See this button where I can click next. See this guy. See this one. See this button here. They are all elements too. Now they are nested inside this big form element. Are we understanding it?
Yes, sir.
So they are nested inside this big form element. So let's go and do the same thing with our own elements, the one we are trying to form. So we have our form. Now inside our form, I just said that the form element has different other elements that make up that form element. One of it is the input elements, a very important part of the form element. The input elements, inputs, I-N-P-U-T, the input elements. The input elements. The meeting will soon end. Please just rejoin with the link. The input element. So this is our input element, a part of the form element. Now, I want us to look into these input elements. The work of these input elements generally is to create these spaces, this one you're seeing here, where you can insert your information and insert other things. Now, let's see how this input element works. This input element has, on its own, now has different types. This input element now has different types, depending on what the user wants to input. This input element is the one.
Hold on.
Okay.
What I can see, line 55 is input. Line 56.
Sorry. It's a mistake. It's supposed to be form here.
Supposed to be form.
Yes, thank you for that. Which means I like it. I'm happy. All right. So this input element now has different types. You know, when you want to log in, this place now says I should enter my username, my email, or my mobile phone. If I enter and I go to next, another code will come up and say I should enter my email address, my password. Now, there are different types of these input elements. Number one is the one using entering either your name or any other thing you want to enter. And that one, the way you differentiate them is using your type, your attributes. Let me come again. This input element has different types. There are several of them, about 9 of them. We'll be looking into them one after the other. Number one type of it is the text input element type. Please, you can write it down somewhere. Text input elements type. The text input element type. The text input element type. When I say text input element type, it is the part of the type of input element that is used to enter text. Like your name, your username. This is what this one caters for. Maybe your phone number, or no, not even phone number. Sorry, your name, majorly your name and your username. And how do you create this text input element type? Remember, I said the input element is an element on its own. This input element now has different types. One of it is the text input element type. And how you differentiate them is your input for your input element. If you want your input element, if you want the web to know the particular type of your input element, you type the word type as an attribute. You see where that attribute comes in, and write text. See what I'm doing? Once I write an attribute inside my input and write text, the web knows that this thing is a text input type element. You don't worry, when I go to live review, you understand it. Just know that.
What's the answer?
Okay.
The apostrophe sign there is the attribute, bro.
This is the attribute. This text is the value, is the ID of the attribute, and why this is the value. The whole of this one is the attribute. Let me remove it again. Yes. Because an attribute is anything that is inside an element, and it must be located in the opening tag of an element. Is that clear? Because an attribute always needs a value. That's why you see type equal to, you must assign something to it. All right, let me continue. All right, so as we're, please, if there's anything you don't understand, just ask. Just ask. Because we have to get this. So I said, we started by saying that considering the form elements, and so this form element is used to send form to the database. It's used to send information that is mostly stored and retrieved back whenever we want it. And one of the ways this is done is by using input. And I said the form element it's like a larger element that has other small elements inside of it. And I used a typical Yahoo this thing I used to explain it. So it has other smaller elements inside of it, like this one. Say this is the form element, this box you're seeing. Then it has this one, this thing is an element, this one you're seeing, this one is an element, and we'll see how these elements are being created. Now, I now went ahead and when I said that there are different components embedded inside these form elements. The first one we are looking at now is the input element. Now I said this input element also has different types. Depends on what you want the user to enter. You know, there are some forms that sometimes you need to enter your email. Some forms you just need to enter your phone number. Some you need to enter email and phone number. Some you need to enter your password, and some you don't even need to enter password. It depends on what you want the user to enter. That now tells you what the kind of input element you need. Now, this input element, I said we have about 9 types of them. Remember, I said type. So that the 9 types of them, and they are differentiated with their type here. The first one we are treating now is the input element, the text input element type, which means the type attribute for that input element is text. This is an attribute. This type is an attribute, and the value of this attribute is text. The value of this attribute called type is text. This word text is a value. This guy is the attribute. So for the text input element, the value of the type attribute is text. If I go to create another one, the same input, another input element, I now call it, the value of this one, I call it email. This another input element type. Please take notes. I've written text, I've written email. Are we following? Hello?
Very clear, sir.
Okay. We have another input element type called password. The third one we are looking at called password. Don't worry, when I go to my live preview, you see how they all play out. I just want to finish writing it, then we'll look at it. Okay, let me show us this one that we've written already, so we don't. I'm having something here, something is not right. Why is there no shift? Yes. Let me just learn. Go live. You see what I just click go live. Now let's see our inputs. I will just type now. Should I remove these ones up so that we can see? Okay. Let me remove these ones. I'm not deleting them. I'm doing something. So you see the input elements just entered. You know, the first one is called, this one is called, this one I entered. Now what the input element does is to form a box for you, where you enter your information.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm not saying go live.
From where? From my system?
Yes.
You're not seeing it because I'm already live. I'm live here. Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen. I was also doing what you're doing, but I can't see it on my own either anymore.
What are you seeing here? What is written here?
I can see LN13 call 8 spaces
This port, what is, do you have port?
500, yeah,
It
500.
means that you're already live. If you're already live, this port, you not see go live again. So check your browser, or what you can do, like if I click here back now, which means I am ending this my live preview. So I can go live appears again. Can you see it? Do you see what I just did? I just ended this live preview, go live appeared again. Did you see it?
Yes, I have.
So if I click back on it, go live disappears, I'll now see the ports. So
That's right.
till the go live and activate it again. But meanwhile, I would like you to listen instead of working at once. Sometimes it's confusing. So if you listen, then after you finish, you go and practice. Thank God we have the videos. As you're practicing, you're watching the video. That's why we're making those videos. So for this guy, I just want to write this first of all, but this is not how it's supposed to be written. But let me just write it like this for so that we see it. So this is the name. This is name. This is for name. The name. The next one. This is for email. Email. And the next one is for password. Or password. So I have 3 input element types. I have the first one. Please forget about this P I wrote here. I just named them so that we know the particular ones. Forget about them. Because this is not the proper way to name them, but we'll come to that. So this one, this is the email. So that's this is text, this is email, this is password. This tells you that this input element, this one only accepts email. This one only accepts password. See what will happen if I start typing in my password. See what it does. I'm typing in my password. Let's say my password is password. I'm typing password. Can you see that it's hiding my password? Please mute your mic. Somebody's mic is actually on.
Henry, please mute yourself.
Okay. All right. Can we see now that when I type in my password, it covers the password? Is it visible?
No, it's not.
You can't see my screen.
No, I said it's not. Your password is not visible.
Okay. Why? Because I put input type password. So this web already knows that what it's expecting here is a password, and what it's doing, it's hiding it so that nobody else can see it, because passwords are not supposed to be reviewed. But if I go here and put email, it doesn't hide it.
But sir,
yes, I can hear you.
Sir,
yes.
Okay. But in some situations, the password section have options whether to make it visible as you are typing them in.
Exactly.
Yes.
Those ones are done using JavaScript. We'll come to that. But the default password entry, normally if I even go to this place, normally if I go here, before that button, before I click on that button, let me say I type my email address here. I type my email address, said next. Even before I click on that button, this button is an optional button. By default, it's already hidden. Can you see it? It's until I click it, then it gives me an option to reveal it. But by default, it's already hidden. So even if I refresh my browser, by default, this place will be hidden. So this is how it was created, until you now add this option for the password to be reviewed. But this input field you're seeing was created with this password. That is why you see that place is hidden. Are we following?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so you see the difference between password and email. See, for email, let me do something for email. If I hover close to the box, something pops up. Let me start typing. You see? Sorry. See what pops up. It said, please include an @ in the email address. Prince is missing an @ Can you see that statement?
Yes.
Yes, that's because
Yes.
it's expecting an email that has @something.com. That is how emails are being formatted. It's not expecting an empty field. But if I go to name and type the same thing, it doesn't give me the same information, because name expects your name or anything, your name, your username, anything that is not tied down to any specific rule. Let me say go that way. So your email, if you want the user to enter their name, their username, this is what you give them. If you want them to enter their password, their email address, you go to email. Now, if I put @something.g.com, that thing disappears. It's now satisfied because it has seen .com. Because it is configured. That is the default setting of the web. It is configured to accept only email. Can we see the difference now? Is it clear?
It is.
Okay. I want us to move to another input type.
Sir,
Yes, I can hear you.
I want to ask, like, for the email, you wrote password. So for the name, why did you not write name? Why did you write test?
Okay. Yes, that is how the web understands that it's a text. Now, it's not only name you write here. I can write name, I can write my username. I can write any letter. But name is like free for all. You can write anything inside the name. I can even write password, email address inside name. Whenever you need the user to enter something that is not specific to any rule, you use text. Inside there, I can write email to accept it. But once you need the user to enter something, sometimes if you see some website that you need to log into, they'll give you an option. They'll say log in with your email address. And sometimes your username is your email address.
Yeah.
So take name like the general format for input elements, like a general format for input elements. So anything you want to enter that is not tied down to any specific rule, put it in the name. But if you know that you need to create something like, okay, see why this email is important. Let's say the user forgets to put, the user just puts something like as I did before, and goes to click the button to submit. Immediately, it will inform the user that this place is not complete because you haven't entered your email. So that is what this email does. The same thing with password. I'm sure you've tried submitting a form that you missed your password, and they'll tell you that your password is incorrect. Or you're supposed to enter your email, you missed the @ and they will say your email is not correct. This is the function of these two guys because of this email attribute. So this one is more like a strict rule, but the text is like free for all. Anything can be entered inside that text element. So if you're designing a form that you don't need any particular strictness attached to it, you use the text. Text means anything. My name is a text. My email address is a text. My password is a text. Even numbers are text. Consider text. So anything I want to enter that is not tied down to any particular rule should be inserted inside that text column. This name I wrote here, I can change it to another thing. This name I wrote here, I can change it to username. It's not tied down to it, username. It has nothing to do with it. I just use it to symbolize, to name these things. Are you understanding me? Is it clear now?
Well,
Is it clear?
yes.
Okay. So the next one we want to look at now is the input type called, please mute your mic. But if you want to speak, you can unmute. Okay, the next one we want to look into now is another type of input type called dates. Let's see what that guy does. Dates. So if I want to create date, what do I need to do? I need to write the word date inside here. See what it does. It brings up a calendar for me. Is this not fantastic? I can now select a calendar. Select, if I want to select a date. Can you see it? I select 4th. It allows me to select dates. If I can change the month to February 2022. Change it to February 2022. It's January. And change the date. Can you see what the date type does?
Yes.
So in case you need, if filling a form and you need them to select their dates, this is how you configure it using this date type. Is everybody following? Because this input element is very important, so I want all of us to get it. Another type of input element that is also interesting is, let's say color. Maybe I want the user to select a particular color picker. I just need them to select color something. Let me see what comes up. See what we have. So if I click on this guy, maybe I want the user to select their favorite color. Maybe I say select your favorite color. Select a favorite color. See, the user can click here, select a color. Click, select a color. And that color will be displayed. Is it clear?
All right, sir. Could you choose not to put these pictures?
Which pictures?
Like the color popping out real colors. Could you just choose, okay, that would appear at the text part.
I don't
like
understand.
if you want the person to write down the favorite color instead of choosing.
If you want the person to write down their favorite color, it will not show as a color, it will show as a word, right?
Yes.
Say write yellow. Yes, you can use this type. You can use this input type.
So the text category will be used.
Exactly. Exactly. The text category will be used. Let's experiment what he's just saying. Say select a favorite color. See what he's saying. He's saying if he wants the user to impute their favorite color.
Okay.
Select your favorite, impute, type your favorite color. So he said, instead of them choosing, he wants them to type. So all you need to do is to put this text type and they'll put their color, say green.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
That's all. So this one is just to select color, give you a color picker. This one brings out a color picker for you. There you can pick your favorite, pick any color of your choice in case you need this. I'm just showing you the different types of input elements, but most times in forms, you don't use all of this. So we've done the one for color to display a color picker, which is that one. Then let's do another one, input type called an interesting one called file. You know, sometimes you see a form, they say you upload your file. See, choose a file. Once you click here, it takes you to your window where you can select any file you want to upload. I click on this file. It will show me this is the file I uploaded. So this file is now here. If I now send this data across to a database, this file is stored in my database. So you remember when you were opening your email, your Gmail, you had a place where, okay, not even your Gmail, maybe your Twitter or something, where you normally upload your profile picture. This is how it's being created. Are we following, please?
Yes, sir. How about specifying the particular kind of file that needs to be uploaded?
How do you mean? You can write that one in words. You can say, you can write here. This text you are writing here, you can write anything here. You can say, kindly upload only so file. Kindly upload white background file, something, white picture or something. That one is an instruction that you can write.
PDF.
Sorry?
an audio, a PDF, how does the system restrict someone from uploading something that's not the required, like a file format?
Yeah, so that one, okay, those ones will be done with JavaScript. As you proceed, you understand that one. I understand what you mean. Like maybe instead of uploading a file,
sir.
you upload an audio. Let's say I've uploaded an audio. If I upload an audio here, it's to still upload. To still upload.
Yes.
But
Yes,
when you click on send, you want to send it to your database, it will reject it. Because what it needs, it's a file, not an audio.
Okay, sir.
It's a particular file. But we'll still come to that. I have to use JavaScript to manipulate these ones to restrict them to doing certain things. We'll still come to that. Okay, so this is just how you generally select file. It can be audio file, video file, PDF file, any file you want to attach. You select. The next one we're looking into is we have another one called checkbox. Checkbox. So if I want to create input element type checkbox, what do I need to do? What do I need to write here?
Your box is not correct. Your box has a K at the end.
If I want to write
Tick. Maybe check. I don't know.
Checkbox. Use the word checkbox. Use the word checkbox exactly like this, and this is what comes out. You know that those things that come up when they say male or female. Maybe here now, and I put something like instead of writing checkbox here, and I say that's the person should select if he's a male or a female. Okay, instead of using P, let me use span here so that to be on the same line. Say male. See? So you can now select if you're a male. If the person is a female. If you want to create it, you create two. One for male, one for female. Two check boxes. The checkbox is used to select. Now, different checkbox, in checkbox, you can select all the items. So this is how checkbox are being created. The next one is radio, the radio input type. Let me still leave the same thing I used. The radio input type called with the input type name is called radio. Input type name is called radio. Okay. Input type name is called radio. So this one is used when this person needs to select just one item. Okay, let me remove this one from male, female too, because you cannot be a male and a female at the same time. Let me make this one English, maybe languages you like, English and French. So you can actually know how to speak English and know how to speak French. English and French. So in case you want to create a form where you ask the user, please select the language the languages you're fluent in. You can select English and French. But the difference between these two is this one you can only select one per time. If you select this one, if you go and select this one, the other one will sorry, I'm supposed to create something. I'm supposed to create a selected here. Sorry. Selected here. But this one is majorly used when you need person to select one or two of the items instead of the two.
So what did you click? Where did you see select from?
Just click on it to select.
No, you said you need to click selected so that it will be only one.
That one is okay. If I put selected here as an attribute, that particular one will be selected for me. Selected. No, sorry. Selected. Okay, it's checked, sorry, not selected. Check. So you see, this one is automatically selected. But we'll come to these ones just to get how you make them select one per time. But generally, when you want to select, create a button and a radio, this is how you create them. The difference between buttons and radio is if you need to create a form that needs to the user to select an item instead of the goods, use a radio. But if you need them to select multiple items, they can have more than one selection, more than two selection. You can use a checkbox to do that. Meanwhile, we don't use all this in every form. I'm just showing you all the input types that have to do with that comes under inputs. So far, we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, we've done 5, we've done 6, 7, 8. I think there is still one more we can do. Trying to recall one more input type. One more input type. One more. Okay, the button input type. This guy creates a button. This guy creates a button. That creates a button. Okay, can call this button submit button. Of course, we need a button to submit our form. Need a button to submit our form. So this guy creates a button for us. Submit. Okay, having done these input types, about 8 of them here, these are the major input types that we have. So if I tell you to create a form where users can enter their name, their email, their password, maybe their date of birth, and choose their favorite language, I guess we should know how to create those things now. Are we following? Do you have any question on this before I move to another thing?
My question is on how far we
Yes, I want to know.
Okay, go ahead. Collins, you can go ahead.
Fine. You
I
know,
said I
when you
wanted to know why we went from using the P element.
Well, went from
Can I go on?
Yes, you can go on.
go on, yes.
Why we change from the P
Okay, I
element
said I
to
wanted
S?
to know why we using the P element instead of using the span element.
Span element. Okay. What I was these ones here before the inputs are not actually important. They don't affect the input element. I just wrote them down so that because okay, if I remove this now, you don't know what that box does. Can you see it? There are better ways of writing of giving a name to this input element. This is not how we do it. I just wrote it down so that we all know, we all see how these things work. We're going to sort that one out now. But generally, if you want to create an input element, this is how you create it. So let me remove this P and these guys. So I'll just have my pure input elements, all of them displayed without their names, without anything attached to them. Then we'll now go ahead and so you can disregard these ones. We are just used to name them so that we know they will have a name for each of them. Is it clear now?
No, you see,
Yes, it's clear.
But you know now it doesn't make sense because you don't know what each one does. I only changed
was talking about
my question actually is not.
Yes, I changed from P to span because
span. I think span makes it to be on a straight line, on the same
exactly,
line.
exactly.
Yes, that's what I wanted to speak.
Why P elements create a block? This is a block from here to here. It's a block. Span puts it in a straight line. But what I was saying is that yes, span puts it in a straight line. But what I was saying is that they are not, it's not as if they say create an input element, you must not put this span. There is a way we do it without span. I just did this one to show you the names. Okay. So going forward, you understand how to create input elements now, right?
Yeah, roughly.
Yes.
Okay, any other question, please? Because I want to.
When I practice, I will know more. I will know how. I mean.
Okay, so any other question? All right, in the absence of any question, I want to do something. Can we notice something in this our input element? It has an opening input tag. Let me magnify this before this section is over. It has an opening input tag and a closing input tag. Do you notice that we didn't write anything in between the two tags? Did anybody notice it?
Yes.
So there are some elements that even if we don't write anything in between the two tags, it still displays. It still gives us a result. And why we don't write anything is it doesn't need you to write anything in between, because anything you write here will not be used for any purpose. It doesn't need you to write anything here. So these elements that don't require you to write anything in between the opening and closing tag to form them are called self-closing tag. Self-closing elements. So they don't require, watch what I'm about to do, please. Please watch. This element, I can safely remove this closing tag and the / I embed it here. You see where I included the /. I removed the closing tag and I included the / here. So this input element is called, input elements are self-closing elements. These are elements that don't require you to write the closing tag explicitly for them to close. All you need to do is to write the / before the last greater than sign. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
This guy still works, even if you remove that tag. You remove the closing tag, it still works. But if I remove this / watch what happens. If I remove this / it's still showing in this my browser. But as I said before, there are some browsers that will not accept it. So you need to put this /. Because when your app is being tested, they will tell you that your input element is not closed. So this / is telling this input element that it's closing it, but it's a self-closing element. So you can safely remove all these closing tags. Am I right? You can safely remove all of them and put the / inside here. So please note it down. The input element is a self-closing element. The input element is a self-closing element. As we proceed, you'll see other self-closing elements that will be used. The input element is one of them. You'll see others as we proceed. These elements don't require you to write anything in between their opening and their closing tags. So you can safely close them in their opening tag. You can safely close them in their opening tags. You can safely close them here. They don't require you to write anything in between their opening and their closing tags, and they still work. Are we following? So they are called self-closing elements. So let me remove them and write it this way, because this is how you write self-closing elements. The other way works, but please always note down that this word for optimization. You write it this way. All your self-closing elements, they should close themselves this way. They should close themselves this way. Having said that, having said this, we have successfully treated these input elements. Everything about input element that is a part of the form element. I want to move to another type of input elements. Sorry, another type of form elements, which is called text. Another type of form element, which is called the text area element. So do you have any question about these input elements? Please, before we move to the next one.
So we have 1 minute, 31 seconds left on the class.
Okay. So immediately this one closes, you can join with that link. So you can stretch your leg while waiting for it to close. Or if you have a question, please ask. Or go to text area elements.
Okay, please, this self-closing elements.
Okay.
You're just saying that we don't have to be writing the beginning and the end. Like we can put the text in between, right? I don't really get.
Okay, let me come again. Remember the first time we wrote this element, this is how we wrote them. I wrote it like this, sorry. I wrote it like this, input, yes, exactly. Why is this guy bringing up?
No, you remove the body.
I wrote it like this, inputs, and I will.
Yes.
This is how I wrote it. And I said, but, what is this guy doing? Mind that guy. Okay, but I now said something, and I said, okay, and I said, if you notice, we did not write anything between this input element. Remember that this is the opening tag and this is the closing tag.
Yes.
Okay. And I said, if you notice, we didn't put anything in between them for it to work. We don't need to put anything in between the opening and the closing tag for it to work.